Hello, this is international football commentator Derek Rae of the EAFC video game and the Bundesliga. You're listening to the SFF Podcast World Cup Special, the home of World Cup 26 banter.
66 days until Scotland's long-awaited return to the World Cup finals on the 13th of June 2026, or technically 2 a.m. UK time on the 14th. The Tartan Army will be descending on Boston for the Scots opening Group C fixture against Haiti, before returning to the Foxboro Stadium for match day 2 against Morocco 6 days later. 10,223 days since the Africans dumped Craig Brown's men out of the France 98 World Cup. I'm John, and we have another World Cup special designed to help the Tartan Army prepare their travel plans to the stadium. One of those lucky enough to be making the trip is our version of Hamish Husbands and Hazel Stewart. It's SFF's media darling, Daris Nisbet. How are you, mate? And need I ask,
I'm not
how
too
big's
bad.
this credit card bill now?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, John. The World Cup buzz is starting now. I can't wait. That's the March friendly's over with, and the fun and games is nearly around the corner. So really excited for it.
Yeah, it's getting ever closer, and as I've said before, I am envious of you. So hope you enjoy it. Well, you'll be pleased to know that the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority have released a timetable for getting Scotland fans from the centre of Boston and surrounding areas to the Gillette Stadium. Joining us to explain more about this is Manager of Intergovernmental Affairs at MBTA and unofficial tour guide for the Tartan Army, Adam Kamoune. Welcome to SFF Podcast, Adam. How are you?
John, a pleasure. This is wonderful. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I bet you are. So just for the audience in Scotland and if anyone else is listening, just give a summary of who you are and what you do.
Yeah. This is very unique. So I'm a kid from Boston. My name is Adam Kamoune. I am 28 years old. I was born and raised right here in Boston. Even though right now I'm in Mexico, I was watching some football out here. I had to check out the Estadio Azteca. It's a gorgeous venue. But I'm a Boston kid through and through, first and foremost. I grew up in East Boston, Massachusetts, which is a very, very cool part of Boston. It's actually right next to the airport. So when you fly into my neighborhood. I lived across the street from it. It's a city or it's a part of a neighborhood that is incredibly vibrant. We have Colombian families, we have Salvadorian families, we have Brazilian families. So we can have our own World Cup. We are very passionate. This unique part of Boston about football, and it was a natural kind of fit for Boston to host some of these games for me because it's a dream come true. I am getting people to and from the stadium, and then going to a bunch of games myself, and sharing the game that I love with a group of folks. Stereotypically, the United States, not the biggest football fans in the world, but for me, this is a dream come true. I get to do all the things that I love this summer combined together. So very, very excited. Yeah.
That sounds like an amazing time. Now, obviously, you're going to be welcoming a lot of fans over, but how excited are you as a Bostonian to be welcoming the Tartan Army to your city?
I mean, how long do you have? Genuinely, Boston is a city that it has passion baked into its bones. We live and breathe sports here. You have the famous Fenway Park, the TD Garden, the whole ecosystem. But what the city has never truly had is a full-on international football culture descended upon it. And the Tartan Army is you guys are legendary. You have one of the most legendary traveling supporter cultures in the world. The color, the noise, the humor. There's no fan base quite like you guys. And I get to know that because I'm a huge football fan. I'm during the day, I'm a Chelsea fan. I also have other teams that I support. I just really, really love the sport. And so now I'm the crazy dude in the office, like jumping up and down and telling people how lucky and how special we are to have the Tartan Army, not only for one match, but for 2 matches, right? And that means having you guys here in between those matches. And I want to be real about this. I've been showing them your videos for weeks. People are worried, like, oh, people are going to be drunk on our trains or drunk in ours. It's like, no, 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 they're going to be funny. They're going to be chanting the funniest things in the world. The self-humor is incredible. People have absolutely loved it. The sing-alongs in the city squares, the fans will make friends with everybody. I am super, super excited, me personally, even as a football fan myself, and an admirer of Scottish football. I've seen plenty of videos about the old firm, but I also think Hearts Hibs is like the most underrated rivalry there is in football as well. I think it doesn't get the same lore, but it is incredibly just as really cool. And I'm admittedly, I don't know if this will get me in trouble. I am a massive Chelsea fan, and so I have a very soft spot for Billy Gilmore. I'm really excited just to see Billy Gilmore play. The Scottish Iniesta, see the kid come full circle. I remember him when he was a teenager at Chelsea, and I get to see him play on a pitch in my hometown. Like all of this is so surreal. So I'm beyond excited to have not only Scotland but also have you folks come and experience the love of my life, which is the MBTA and the city of Boston.
Yeah, it will be exciting for you guys to have the Scotland fans coming over. You know about the culture, and no doubt Derek Rae, who recommended you to this podcast, and thank you again, Derek, for doing so. And he was lucky enough, being based in Cologne, to have the Scotland fans come over for a game during the Euros, and it was a well received city from a Scotland point of view. So what has he said to prepare you for a Tartan invasion? And also, just as a follow-on to that, what makes Boston so appealing that it can leave a similar legacy to what Cologne did at the Euros?
Derek has been absolutely brilliant. Genuinely, he's like one of the most knowledgeable voices in the game, and his depth of understanding of both the football culture and the cities that host is something else. When he reached out to me, well, I didn't reach out to him. He reached out to a mutual person that we know, and we helped set up. One, I was trying as a fanboy. I mean, this is somebody who knows the game, who travels to commentate, and has a unique perspective. And I don't want to out him too much, but Derek fell in love with the Boston area back in '94. And I want to have a similar lasting, many Derek Rays falling in love with Boston and making it their homes for Scottish supporters, whether it's temporarily or in his case for life. But what Derek said to me, something that kind of, something along the lines of just don't tell them what to see, tell them how to feel at home, which is really cool. That's the key insight. That's what I want to offer as a lifelong Bostonian is the matching of what you folks are looking for here and what we can provide as a city. A pub that feels like home, streets where you can walk freely. Locals who are excited and interested to interact with you. In Germany, it has that big square culture. Boston is made up of many squares. We're the world's biggest town, as I like to say. Every neighborhood has its center. Every neighborhood has kind of like a high street where people kind of hang out and collect, and each one is unique. If you're in Malden or if you're in Chelsea or Providence, each one of these places has its own kind of center gathering area. Or Cambridge, for example, is a city of squares where there's activities and events, and everything is centered around squares and that big culture of it. And unlike the rest of the United States, Boston's actually super walkable and wicked safe. So we love to say the word wicked. It's a wicked safe city. And we're going to be really excited to see your culture mesh in with ours in terms of just, we're one of the few places where you can be outside, have a drink on a patio somewhere, and really enjoy yourself. So I'm looking for that marriage. I can't wait to marry your culture with ours very soon. And it's something that Derek and I spoke about, and I'm really excited to share with you folks here today.
Yeah, it just sounds amazing. I mean, unfortunately, it costs us too much for myself personally to go over, but I'm very envious of those like Daris who are going out there. It sounds as though it's going to be a terrific they're going to get a good welcome from you all. And you did mention when we spoke about this podcast a few weeks ago that you'd act as an unofficial tour guide per se. What would you say are the best spots to Tartan Army to hang out on a match day?
Yeah. So I'm not a guide, but I am a
Unofficially.
local, unofficially, and I'm actually happy to be one for anybody who reaches out because of us chatting today. Genuinely, I'm happy to share my home in a literal sense, in a figurative sense. I'm happy to share every aspect, or anyway, if you want somewhere to go, I'm happy to recommend it. But generally speaking, Boston is a city of neighborhoods. And I would say, like, for example, the North End, amazing for Italian food, some of the best Italian food you can ever have in the world because we have a large collection of Italian immigrants. East Boston has a huge Latino population. So I'm happy to kind of share as much in terms of the history of where to go, what to do. So I'm happy to kind of, if you want to go out on a night, I'm happy to set it up. If you want to know where to kind of go before a match, there's pubs that are excited to host you. The Dubliner downtown, Teddy's on the Hill downtown as well. Like, they want to be unofficial Scotland bars during this time, and I'm happy to create those spaces for the Tartan Army.
Hey, Daris, you want to jump in quickly?
Yes, Adam, how we doing? Hope you're all well. Just a question as well. So I know there is going to be a lot of the Tartan Army guys heading to Fenway Park. I think it's the 14th. I believe there is a Tartan Army actual takeover for the baseball, which is what's that like? Baseball in Boston. What's it? How big is it in Boston?
Baseball is a massive part of the culture. Sports are ingrained in what it's like to be a Bostonian. Whether you like sports, whether you don't like sports, you find yourself at Fenway Park. Fenway Park is a living, breathing museum. Look, relative to Scotland, we don't have as much history as you guys do, right? But there's that special moment for the fans in Scotland when you walk into Hampton Park or you walk into the Ibrox and you're just struck. You get out from the tunnel and you enter enter the pitch in order to get to your seat, and there's something really magical about that at Fenway Park. You can feel the history. You can see on the railings the layers of paint, the coats of paint that you go over every year when they just slap on another new layer of paint. And the seats are somewhat uncomfortable, but the atmosphere is electric, especially on a summer night, and folks are getting together and singing Sweet Caroline during the seventh inning. Like, this is a natural part of your time here. So sports are incredibly ingrained in the identity and fabric of Boston. And there's no better place. It is the cathedral of baseball, and it's America's most beloved ballpark. And you can see just baseball is a very social sport too. How different it is from football, where you're actively engaging in every moment. You're singing, and there's active kind of fan rooting. In baseball, you're having a beer with your mate, and there has to be a sport going around in the background. But at the same time, people are passionate. They're groaning after a pitch. There's a bad call. You're booing the ump. And it's an incredibly magical place. I think it's a wonderful place to mix and see and learn how sporting culture exists in a very different manner, but an equally passionate manner in another setting. So I can't wait for the Tartan takeover at Fenway. My friend who works security, I let him know already, but he is more than thrilled because he knows the reputation that you folks have of being just respectful, polite. I can't wait for the chants, like how you incorporate some of the music and the humor that Scotland fans are known for at a baseball game, because a baseball game can be quite dry as well. But I think it's incredibly fun, and I think you guys will make it even more fun.
You're speaking to a bunch of supporters who adopted A Sound of Music song when they went to Austria in 1996. However, if Sweet Caroline is played, don't be surprised if there's any booing, because the England fans have adopted that as one of theirs, which is annoying because I actually like the song. But England are also playing in the city, and we will share this with some of our English friends. How much are you looking forward to seeing the England fans? Because, to be fair, they had a reputation back in the 90s, but I think they've rid themselves of all that, the hooligan element. I think that's gone.
Yeah, security. We aren't too concerned about security in Boston. But we are as well. We're being very diligent about, tracking the differences between the supporters groups and what that means. Generally speaking, Boston is a safe city, and we're not worried, but we are vigilant. We host large scale events every year. We have one of the biggest St. Patrick's Day celebrations in the world. We have the Boston Marathon coming up in a few weeks that draws even more folks and supporters and people from all over the world. So we know how to handle crowds. We know how to handle rowdy crowds, is basically what I'm implying here. And there's nothing that we don't have the capacity to kind of deal with. And for the most part, I'm not too worried about the England fans. I'm more excited about the Scotland fans. No offense to any English supporters that might watch this, but I think it'll be more fun with you folks. But we can handle anything that might pop up.
I'm sure even they know that. We're the better ones. They may have the better football team, but we have the better fans.
There's, who's it, McAllister? Have you ever heard his videos? It's like one of my favorite things.
McAllister. Yeah.
Oh man, that helped me re-fall in love with Scottish football. And he's unbiased, of course. But my favorites especially are the commentary videos of England versus Scotland. So and totally unbiased.
Yep, totally unbiased. I mean, I was at his live show, and I can confirm that he's definitely unbiased. He's the most unbiased commentator ever. And so, McAllister, if you're listening, I look forward to most of it throughout the World Cup. Daris, on you go. You've got something else to ask?
Yes. So this is for the about food as well. What's like the go-to food in Boston? So like if we're all in Boston and we're like, what would be like a good hangover cure as well in Boston? So after Scotland would play Haiti, there would be a lot of maybe Tartan Army members that might be a bit tender in the morning. What's like the go-to in Boston to make you feel better?
Oh man, Boston knows how to drink as well, and we so generally speaking, the good food that we have is Italian food. We specialize in Italian food in the city, but also seafood. I don't know if I can handle some fried oysters after a match, but a couple of things that are incredibly greasy, incredibly good food. One is the North Shore roast beef. They call it a three-way. Don't be off-put by the name. It is sauce, cheese, mayo on a roast beef sandwich, and it is the best thing that you'll eat while you're here. But it's exclusive to the North Shore, and it's something that is hard to get south of the city or in the city, but it is one of my favorite bites of food, and it is perfect for a drink. Another thing is American Chinese food is different, and every region in America has its own Chinese food. The Chinese food in Boston, it is freaking incredible. I think it's the best in the country. I've traveled all over the country, soaks up all that wonderful drinking that we will do together. And then last but not least, it is a city that is incredibly diverse. You get food from all over the world. It might be a slight variation or a tweak, but tacos, burritos, the great late night food. You could have steak and seafood. Like, it runs the gamut. Boston can be the cheapest place in the world. It could be the most expensive place in the world. But I highly recommend that you get Italian food while you're here. There's no place in America, at least, aside from like New York and New Jersey, that does it as well as we do. Pizza is incredible here. There's some great pizza spots that I'm happy to share with folks while they're here. But there's also like cheap burritos that you can get with a really cheap margarita sitting on a rooftop overlooking the city. And you're like, this is life. I want to see the Tartan Army kind of take that place over as well. So there's plenty of locations that I'm happy to recommend on food. The most important, the most iconic is having a Fenway Frank. So when you get to Fenway Park, having that hot dog just hits different. There's something else about it. I don't know what it is. I think a lot of it is the location. But when you have a Fenway Frank, that's an absolute must. A lobster roll is another absolute must while you're in Boston. That might be a little more pricier, but Boston and New England has some of the best seafood in the world, especially lobster. There's something about the waters here that make it a little sweeter, a little better, and there's nothing like it. It's one of those things you don't think much of it, and then you have it, and then it's absolutely incredible.
This all sounds amazing. I think the Tartan Army will certainly be well fed. But we'll move on to the travel aspects. So it's been announced about the trains. There's going to be trains run every 15 minutes. From the guide that you sent me, the first one departs at 3:15 on the match day, and the final departure is at 6:30. And for the returns, they leave at 11:30 p.m. and the final departure is at 2:45 a.m. So tell us more about this and how it came out that you needed to put on more trains to accommodate all these supporters, because obviously you're talking about 60,000 people in a stadium in a town that's got what, 19,000 population.
Yeah, and there's a lot of preparation that's been done for this in the last 18 months, trying to just figure out solely how to get people to and from the stadium. Foxborough is a tiny town. And we fully expect folks to stay in Boston, stay in Providence, stay in cities and towns around the area that have a little more to do. But more importantly, it's there wasn't a station really capable of handling a huge crush of folks or an increased amount of service. So for the last year or so, we've been trying to devise a plan to get as many folks as possible, recognizing that we're hosting folks from Europe, we're hosting folks from Scotland, we're hosting folks from Morocco and other places that won't be able to drive in the United States, or it might be so cost prohibitive to drive. And therefore, it's a lot more important for us to get more train service to reflect the needs and the wants of the folks that are going to be here during the World Cup. So yes, we're running 14 trains express on the commuter rail line, operating between Boston and then the stadium. So it'll depart from South Station. It'll be every 15 minutes. You buy it in groups. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. And then we want to keep in mind that we're adjusting our service when you come back. So, for example, for your first match, I know it's a later kickoff. There's some concerns regarding how do I get back to different parts of Boston that I'm trying to get to. We're actually extending the subway lines. So normally the subway lines ended around 1 maximum. We're extending them until 4 a.m. In order to accommodate the folks who want to get back. So you're going to take a shuttle train from the stadium whenever the match ends, and then you're going to take it back into the city, and we want to make sure that you make that last connection. So the red, orange, green, and blue lines, the main subway in the city, will be extending in operations until basically 4 a.m. So basically running 24-hour service that day.
Hi, as well, Adam as well. So I'm actually in Providence, so think it's about 45 minutes outside Boston. Providence.
Yeah. So the stadium itself, Foxborough, is located halfway in between Providence and halfway in between Boston. Except coming from the Providence side, it'll be a lot less traffic trying to get to the stadium. Boston will have that 1 hour train ride direct. And because we wanted to maximize the number of folks, we'll be running exclusively trains from Boston to the stadium. I'm happy to work with folks. I know there's a big contingency of folks that are going to be staying in Providence. There is going to be a transportation plan for getting folks from Providence. So the parochial part, or like the jurisdictional part that makes it difficult for me, is that I am a Massachusetts guy with working for the Transit Authority in Massachusetts. I know Rhode Island has their plan to get folks from the Providence area, and I'm also happy to make recommendations for folks. So you can still take a train from Providence, and it just will get you closer to the stadium, and then you have to complete that last link, whether it's through rideshare or through taxi or something like that. But it was certainly without getting into too much trouble, be cheaper than buying that Boston direct link, but then you just have to figure out that last mile portion. So it'll drop you off along the way, maybe in Attleboro, which is only 15 minutes from the stadium, and then you can complete the journey either walking or through. It's a bit of a walk, so probably like a taxi to complete the service or that. And you actually end up maybe even saving money versus the $80 round trip tickets directly to Boston.
What would be like the recommended time for like fans like getting to the stadium? So the Haiti games are 2 o'clock kickoff in the UK, so it's 9 p.m. in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
If like a lot of the Tartan Army guys are based in Providence as well, what would be like the recommended latest time to leave to get to the stadium?
Yeah, part of that is depending on the shuttle service that they're going to run. So there's an
Yep.
organization called Boston 26 that's going to help kind of organize a different private carrier type of service. So maybe coaches, in order to get to the stadium for folks who are coming from
Yeah.
Providence or coming from Burlington or other parts. So there's many ways to skin the cat. There's different. So the train isn't the sole way to get to the stadium. There's going to be kind of private transport through these coaches that will be a little more malleable because you can only run a train with the rails that you have. And so there's going to be definitely other options for folks. I think those aren't not yet public, but definitely happy to check in and share that information. I know there's quite a few folks staying in Providence. So there's going to be 2 different alternatives. One is a little more nuanced on how to do it, and I'm happy to kind of give you that insight and that expertise. The other is a pretty direct, kind of similar cost shuttle that will not be a train. It'll be a private carrier bus that will depart from the Providence or Rhode Island area.
I was also going to go, so like when we go from Providence to the stadium, will there be like a fan zone as well near the stadium for like fans to watch games? As I know, like I've heard from like maybe not so much Providence, but from Boston, the traffic's going to be absolutely hectic to get down from Boston to the stadium. Will there be a fan zone outside the ground, do you reckon, for like us to watch another game before it? Because I think Brazil versus Morocco is 3 hours before our game.
Yes, so the beauty of Gillette Stadium is that there's also Patriot Place that is connected to it. So there's actually an entire almost like a shopping center, but also an entire like you have 5 or 6 or 7 bars and restaurants that always handle our NFL games for the Patriots.
Yep.
And you can absolutely have the time of your life beforehand. You can have beers. You can have the best time. So you can definitely use those restaurants and bars and clubs and maybe even do shopping instead. Who knows? There's also Five Guys if you want to grab a bite or something like that. So there's a lot of options physically at the stadium. There's an entire mall essentially, and folks can kind of pregame and watch games and use that almost as like as their watch party. I don't know if there's going to be officially a watch party at the stadium because they wanted to discourage folks who didn't have tickets from kind of taking up a spot on the train or trying to drive down.
100%. Yeah.
So a little about the stadium itself. It is on a tiny road off the highway, and so it gets really, really jammed up driving there or driving out of there. And so for the most part, we wanted to discourage, as a Commonwealth, as a state, discourage folks who don't have tickets from going to the stadium, whether on the train, whether on another means, in order to take away from fans who do have that and might kind of get stuck in traffic or something else in that sense.
Yeah, I would think those who don't have a ticket will more likely stay in the city or the surrounding areas anyway, rather than trying to head down to Foxborough. So we'll just need to wait and see what happens. But in terms of the ticket price, so it's obviously been leaked that the cost of a return ticket is $80, and from our understanding, that's almost quadruple the price for a New England Patriots game in the NFL, for example. So, what was the reasoning behind the pricing structure for this? Because there's no point in hiding this, Adam. It hasn't gone down well back home with fans already disgruntled at prices for match tickets, flights and accommodation, etc. So what do you have to say?
Yeah, and even myself as a football fan, I'm balking at the concept at first. Part of it is one, the most we've ever moved in terms of Patriots games, about 4,000 people, 5,000 people. Americans drive. We love driving to our matches. We love driving to our sporting events. So it's a massive, somewhat endeavor for us to move 20,000 people, which is the most we ever have for a sporting event. And in doing so, we're actually building a new stadium. I'm sorry, new station at the stadium. So it's front door access. And a lot of that capital cost, I think it was about $35 million. So we're building a stadium. I'm sorry, the station at the stadium from scratch, almost overnight, using a lot of funding in order to do so. And then we're also shifting trains away from regular riders. So as you can imagine, we do serve 175 cities and towns, but for those 7 days where we have matches, we're prioritizing getting people to and from the stadium. So there's also increased staffing costs. Staff will be everywhere to help kind of guide you. So a lot of that price is to cover a lot of the resources that we're dedicating specifically to getting folks to and from the stadium. And in the grand scheme of things, a lot of the cost as well it's still going to be the cheapest option to get to the stadium. It's going to be there's going to be a lot of car rentals that are going to be really expensive in the area. Hotels are pretty limited, so I totally understand a lot of folks being concerned about finding a hotel in the region. America, unfortunately, in this sense, doesn't prioritize public transportation, and this is me kind of just putting on my sad hat of the state of affairs of American public transport. And as a result, their user fee is going to be a little higher to reflect that. But more importantly, I think there's a lot of options. There's options to get kind of sprinter vans with other groups to get to the stadium, and maybe that helped defray the costs. But generally speaking, we're doing a lot of upgrades in order to accommodate, and not only at the station, but also you'll see people everywhere. You'll see staffing and helping guide and make sure folks are safe. And so it's to recoup some of that cost associated with hosting the event.
I mean, I understand as well that FIFA aren't subsidising like what I don't know what Derek's told you about the Euros in Germany, why that was more of a success. But Deutsche Bahn and UEFA worked together, and UEFA gave some funding to help keep the fans' travel costs in. But understand FIFA are not doing that. Was this something that the MBTA applied for, but were just flat refused? No. What was the reason behind no FIFA involvement?
Yeah. Without getting into too much trouble on the podcast, I think FIFA definitely promised the world in terms of what they can provide and the funding levels that could be provided. And I think FIFA is the ultimate American entity, if anything. They socialize the losses, or they socialize the costs, and then they try to keep all the profits in some cases. And part of that is doing the work with having something like free transport, right? A lot of the places that they work with expect to have free transport, but not covering the free transport, or increase safety and security detail and not cover the costs of doing that. And so local governments, local FAs are looking to cover the cost for FIFA. And so in some cases, Qatar has no problem with that, right? But in the case of the United States, where we are a pretty robust democracy, folks are saying, there's no way I'm going to be spending or covering the cost for $7 million of security details in order to ensure that this global event to us is just another event. We host events all the time. We have Super Bowls, we host all these kind of world stage events. And to us, this is unique in the sense where we're being asked to foot the bill for something. And I'm still sad, but it's not the number one sport that we have in the country. And so that you're kind of seeing our money where our mouth is in terms of our values and our priorities for sports. I don't really care that a global sport is happening or something like that. I'm not paying my taxes for that to go towards hosting folks, but they can come. We're happy to have folks. We just don't want to really spend taxpayer money on being put on the global scale. We're America. We're already on the global scale for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that, but obviously, Scotland fans also like to look for alternatives to keep the money down. You're speaking to a bunch of fans who will take 3 flights to save like 20-30 pounds to get to another country, things like that. And we're not ashamed of admitting it, but if the train's $80, is there going to be public buses in operation during the tournament? And if so, how long roughly is the journey, and what's the cost of a return ticket on a bus?
Yeah. So the bus ticket will get you as close to Walpole. So that's the end terminus of the buses that we have and that we run. Offline, I'm happy, John, to share my contact information to that guide piece. I'm also very, very Scottish in that sense. I know the ability to save a buck or two, and I can relate to that very, very much. And so, me personally, I'm happy to go offline and give folks individually kind of the best route for them. Cost is very important to me. I snuck into the World Cup in Qatar with barely any money. I don't know how I did that. And so I very much see myself as part of the Army, and I'm happy to kind of defray costs in my official hat, and then offline we could do it in my official hat as well. So I'm happy to personalize what folks kind of want to do in terms of getting to the stadium and back, and give them options in terms of cost, time, effectiveness, so on and so forth. Because I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm really excited about going to the game on the 19th, and I'm looking at, even though I work for the Transit Authority, maybe I can get around some other way that doesn't involve me paying $80, because I know I relate to that all too well.
Yeah, that will definitely be exciting. Daris, as someone who's going out there, how much reassurance do you get from Madam's answer there?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, obviously, with the whole public transport scenario as well. Like, I know so I'm as I said, I'm in Providence as well. I know there's also buses that Tartan Army guys have organised from bus companies as well to get from Providence to the stadium as well. So I know like there'll be a lot of people, obviously, with the news today with the train tickets being $90, considering what 80. I think New England Patriots is 20 usually, so it's a big increase. So I think obviously a lot of fans like myself are a bit unhappy. Like, obviously it's just everything's all just bumped up, especially like we've paid for X amount of money in flights, hotels, expenses. That's before we even buy one of how many beers we'll be consuming. But yeah, it was just it'll be interesting to see how obviously it'll all unfold come the day of the game, what happens.
And without getting into too much trouble, it kind of reflects the American mentality of we're hosting a global event, we're hosting the global event, my favorite sport, the biggest event in the sport, but we're really just, not us, but collectively us, are prioritizing the resources that we have, which is towards ourselves. And that's part of that American individualism that you're seeing. Instead of thinking of how to get folks to and from the stadium, as many folks as you can to and from the stadium, everyone sees it as a money grabbing opportunity, and that's very, very unfortunate. And I think that's part of what makes America America, without, again, getting myself too much into trouble, right? Is to cover costs and at the expense of others, which is very unfortunate.
I think it's just a realization of where the world is at. Lots of things are going up in price for lots of reasons, which we don't have the time or the podcast to divulge into that. But what money saving tips do you have for fans to keep costs? And I say not just the Scotland fans, but other fans that are going to be there, like Morocco, England, Ghana, Norway have got a couple of games there too.
Boston's an incredible city to just soak in without actually spending money. It is, being in Boston is beautiful because you can just walk around. Public transportation is actually relatively a lot better than, if not, it's one of the best in the entire country. So please ditch your car. For the folks who aren't staying in areas that are a little more remote, you don't need to rent a car at all. You can get a subway pass. It's $2.40 to ride anywhere. So unlike other parts of the the country or even the world, we don't really have, aside from the commuter rail, we don't, it's a flat fare. So if you're on the subway, if you're on the heavy rail, you pay $2.40 and you can go from one end of the system all the way on to the other end of the system. It's incredible. That's going to be your biggest time savings, and it's a little plug for me. But it's $2.40 to go to anywhere in our zone. You can also buy the commuter rail pass that you buy for the matches. Also gets you kind of access to anywhere on the commuter rail. So for that day, so you can go all the way up to the North Shore. You can go down to Providence. You can do all these wonderful things without having to purchase a second ticket. And so all of that is really exciting. But I think there's going to be your biggest money savings. And generally speaking, food in America is like slightly cheaper. Going out is a little more expensive. So, but food in America is a little cheaper just because of the vastness of the country. And there are spots. For example, and I'll give a little shout out, Gallery Umberto's in the North End is a gem. You want to go to the North End, you want to spend a bunch of money for good Italian food, sure, whatever. But Gallery Umberto's $2 a slice, and it's like this fancy, not even fancy. It's very, very homey, best pizza in the city, and it's $2, and then they never change. And it's cash only. It's run by the best family in the world. But the lines can get pretty long, and they close. They don't have hours. They close when they close, and when they run out of food, and they often run out of food. But it's $2. It's where I go. I love saving a buck. I love pinching a penny. So I know a long list of these places that we can do, not only for food, but also how to go out, how to have a bunch of beers. There's a bar that sells dollar beers, for example. So it's knowing these spots that I'm happy to help the Tartan Army kind of steer towards knowing that the cost of all of this is going to quickly escalate for a lot of folks, right? So I put myself in your shoes because I'm very much the same way. I want to have a good time. I want to eat food. I want to enjoy the city, but I want to do so that allows me to live until the next World Cup and be able to afford the next one as well.
Wait till they hear about dollar beers and the Tartan Army. Their eyes all lit up, me included. That's good to know as well. That pizza place as well. They'll need to stock up the pizza and definitely stock up the $1 beers for sure.
And they're really close by, so you have a bunch, you soak up with that, and then you run down to the stadium for your match, and it's going to be absolutely a blast.
That sounds incredible. One of our podcast members, Stephen Rae, said he has a question because Stephen has cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair, so he wants to ask what disability access looks like for traveling, including from the airport to city centre.
Yeah, so folks who have physical disabilities, one of the really cool parts about Boston is that we always we have something called The Ride, especially run by my organization, the MBTA. And even if you're a visitor, you can qualify for something called The Ride. And what that means is you go to an office, you have an appointment, you have an assessment, and then you get granted access. And you're also allowed kind of door-to-door transportation during the time. So even if you're a visitor, you can receive ride service and approval, and we can help you assist literally door to door. So you book it and you get dropped off exactly where you need to go. Because of the American with Disabilities Act, a lot of our transportation system is accessible. And so for example, if they were taking the train to get to the game, we have space on the train to accommodate for folks with disabilities specifically. So that's something that we take very seriously because of the federal law here in Massachusetts. And so we always do what we can to make sure that no one's left out. And that's why I work in public transportation. No one's left out, no one's left behind. And it's what makes me so passionate about about that. Like everyone's a big supporter, whether it's of Scotland, the Boston Red Sox, and physical ability should not limit your ability to experience all there is the city has to offer.
Yeah, Adam, I was going to say as well, just a question as well. What's like the main tourist stuff to do in Boston, like out with the football? So like, what's like the most tourist there, and what's like the most
Yeah,
non-tourist things to do? What's like,
yeah.
what's like good to do out with the games, like for folk that have
Boston.
stayed in Boston for a while, like myself.
The beauty of Boston is that Boston has so many different personalities so close by, and it's relatively close by because Scotland is not as big as the United States. To us, distances are relative, right? But Boston, for example, has a ton of history, and I'm excited for folks to learn our history. It's not as old as your history, but it is a linked history. And so we're a very proud city where each part of Boston has its own kind of uniqueness to it. So if you're hanging out in East Boston, you have a large Latino community. So you have a bunch of Colombians, Salvadorians, Brazilians, Moroccans, and all these folks kind of add a little bit of flair to a neighborhood. If you go to Cambridge, that's where Harvard University, MIT is. There's a lot of good intellectual cafes and things like that, but also this like really cool underground scene of going out. Look, I've been to sporting events myself. I know I love to go out after a good time at a game. And so we're really, really excited to be planning for that. Providence, where you're staying, is actually where our fun brother cousin kind of vibe is. It's been described that at least in this context, we're very much like England. And Rhode Island's a lot more like Scotland in the sense that it's a little more cool. It lets its hair down a little bit more. Providence is one of the best places to eat in the country. It has one of the best culinary institutions in the country to kind of prep chefs for the industry. And as a result, the food scene in Providence is actually just as good, if not better, than in Boston. Each one of our cities and towns is unique. Brockton, for example, has a big Haitian and Cape Verdean community. So those are two teams that are also participating in the World Cup, and they're also participating for the first time. So during your off days, when Scotland is not playing, but Cape Verde or Haiti is playing, their immigrant communities are going to come out and they're going to throw the best parties. They're going to be so proud of their teams. Each one of these cities and towns is going to be really throwing their own watch party. So there's going to be the big watch party in Boston, and then there's also going to be watch parties in the diaspora communities. Morocco has a big population in Revere. They're going to be throwing big parties in Revere. So because of our immigrant background, we kind of share a lot of cultures, and you get to share in those cultures as well. So nightlife is going to be great. Providence is actually extending how long their bars are going to be open. So they're going to be open until 4 a.m. In order to accommodate the fans coming by, which is going to be, I think the lads are going to be really excited for that. Boston's a little more tight in terms of our regulation and ability to do so. And but we're still a very fun city. You have the just each part is its own unique kind of vibe. Some areas are a little more affluent and clean and a little prissy, if you will, and other parts are let your hair down. You can really enjoy walking around, biking around. The nature is incredible. You spend one day, you can go all the way up to Maine, for example, which is an amazing state with its own port city that has a really cool vibe. You can go down to Cape Cod, which is some of the best beaches in the country. You can also go out to Worcester, which is a city on its own. So your options are limitless during your days off. Go up to Salem, check out the witches. So really, like each part of these parts of around Boston have their own identity and something to explore during your off days.
So like Morocco's got its own community, like in Boston, like where you're from, like you're like so like Morocco, does it like have a Moroccan community? So like each part's got its own different community, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of them
Yeah.
are going to be playing during the World Cup. So, for example, when Brazil is playing, Framingham, Everett, Malden. These places are going to be bumping. They're going
It's
to
going
be
to be good.
thrilled for you.
Yeah.
Where Morocco's playing, Revere is going to be off the charts. And if they win, they go around, they wave their flags. It's a big deal. People are really, really proud that America is a melting pot, but this is the one part where you can retain your identity as an immigrant and party and represent your country proud. So this is what makes America special, and this is what makes having a World Cup special, is because now we're even more diverse than we were when we hosted in '94. And so you have all these groups of fans running around, throwing wearing their jerseys out. You'll see it constantly during match day. When they have their match day, they're going to be wearing their jerseys, wrapped around their flags, having a wonderful time at the fan fest. So very excited to see that.
So it's like is it like a safe place to cycle then? Is it easy to get about by like bike, for instance? So say for instance, like you just want to go a cycle from one end of Boston to another, but is it easily accessible by bike as well? Is it?
Yeah, it's a pretty big cycling community in Boston.
Yep.
So yes, you can easily bike. It's more cost effective. It's gorgeous. I cannot understate how beautiful Boston is as a city aesthetically. And that's not just me saying it as a lifelong resident. I think there's other parts of America that are all just highways with maybe some buildings in them. We have a lot of character. Our streets are windy, just like in Europe. So you really have that European feel to it, combined with still being America. So it's the marriage of the two. You have that American kind of exceptionalism in terms of like doing everything, but also maintaining that like collective European mindset. And so we love biking, we love taking public transit, we love walking. It's such an easy city to walk. And it's such a pretty city to look at, especially when you're in the downtown core. It's really fascinating. It's really cool.
So one more question as well about the so see like I'm guessing Boston's like because it's like got quite a good like bar scene or quite a good scene overall. Is there like any what's like the most scenic place to go for a pint? So like
Oh,
if you were like is there like any like good rooftop bars? Is like anything like that would be good to just look out at the view and just take it in?
one of the best things you could do is have here's a few. One is have a pint across from Sam Adams. The joke is Sam Adams is in the graveyard, and you can have a Sam Adams while looking at Sam Adams. There's a pub across the street from his from the graveyard that he's buried in, the cemetery that he's buried in. And one of the most popular beers in Boston is called the Sam Adams because it's brewed here, and then you can check out the brewery on a tour. But having a pint of Sam Adams in front of Sam Adams is a running joke. One of the most beautiful rooftops for me, and it's also affordable, just FYI, is Felipe's in Harvard Square. So imagine you're doing your Harvard Square tour. You want to see Harvard University. You end up at Felipe's. You get a beautiful burrito that's relatively affordable. And then you go up to the roof and it's absolutely stunning. The music is incredible. The drinks are relatively affordable. So you can, a lot of my friends love to go and have drinks there because it's cheaper than anywhere else in the city. But the vibes are immaculate, right? And so you can enjoy the rooftop there. There are nicer rooftops, for example, in the Seaport, which is a relatively new part of Boston. It's a lot of glass buildings. There's a lot of newness, but you can have a great drink overlooking the entire city there. East Boston. So here's the secret. You can go to a place called Tall Ships. You're on a boat overlooking the skyline of the city. You can have a drink there. You can have food there, and it is also a little nicer, but it is an incredible view. There's some really, really beautiful views. Also in East Boston, again, where I grew up, there's a cider factory there called Down East, and you're overlooking the water. You're overlooking the city right there next to Pierce Park. There's some gorgeous views. So you can do the tour of the brewery, and then you can be right there overlooking the entire city having a drink. So that's really cool as well. So plenty of places to have a pint. So some of my favorites are just on the water. You can have them on the water anywhere along the coast. It's a very accessible city. And you're sitting there and you look up and you're just like, gosh, it's so pretty. Even on the Esplanade, which is like right on the river, right on the Charles River. There's some beer gardens that pop up. There's beer gardens that kind of pop up all over the city where you're out and you're about. There's one on the Boston Common. You can, kind of coalesce a group of folks in different aesthetically pleasing beer gardens all across the city that are going to be starting up in a month or so, and welcoming folks. So plenty of places to have a pint, and also really cool places to have a pint indoors as well. There's a lot of bars that are really, really excited to welcome folks in. Like I mentioned, the Dubliner and Teddy's on the Hill. These are two places that really, really are excited when speaking with their folks to host as many Scotland and Tartan Army fans. So big shout out to them as well.
That all sounds fantastic. I don't know what everything that Daris covered there, but I understand there's a Boston Tartan Army as well who've got a boat party happening.
Oh, incredible! Oh, that is awesome. I can only imagine how much of a blast that will be.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be fantastic. But yeah, just to move slightly away from the host city type of thing. So your parents were obviously Moroccan. So how excited are you for this Scotland-Morocco game? And obviously, how much do you know about? I know you were only born the year that we last played each other, but you know, just describe what this game's going to mean to you and how much you'll love bringing up 98, although we don't want to talk about it.
I'm too young to kind of show off 98, but I am happy to be Moroccan. As you can see, I was burying the lead a little bit, and I'm glad that you brought it up. So part of all of this is melting my culture and who I am as a person. Not to jump back to our very first question, but look, I'm a proud Moroccan. I'm a proud Bostonian, and I love using public transportation, and all those things mean I also am a proud host. And so I just so happen to be hosting a team that we're playing. Really, like the shirt off my back is for the Scotland fans, and I really love the culture that you guys bring. You're just happy to be playing my country as well. So I cannot script this any better. And it's really about returning the hospitality and the warmth that Scotland fans have shown me. If I can give a little bit of a story, I was in Albania about a year or two ago. And I was just in Albania for vacation on holiday, having a good time. And I met the gentleman named Lee, and I just want to give Lee a shout out because Lee is a massive Rangers fan. And we were talking about football. We actually met out in Tirana watching football, grabbing a drink, and we were just hanging out. And we became really fast friends. And the passion that with which he spoke about Rangers really pulled me in, and we were trading soccer stories and travel stories, and I want to return that favor. So we were hanging out. We saw this gentleman. We were grabbing kebabs after a late night. We saw this gentleman wearing a Europa League finals jacket because Conference League, Europa Conference League jacket. It was the first Conference League final, if you can recall, was in Tirana. And I said that was really, really cool. Lee tracks this gentleman down, speaks with him for a minute, and gets the jacket off of him for me. He brought it out. I was like, my mind was absolutely blown. And I was shown the warmth and kindness of the Scottish people. And I can't wait to return that back. Not only because that is part of what it means to be Moroccan, but also it's matching the same energy that you folks will be bringing to my city and my home. And I really cannot script it any better. I'm so looking forward to. I just bought 4 tickets to the match on the 19th. I will totally be there. I will totally be thrilled to kind of meet up with as many fans before and after, and we will certainly be friends and pals long before that match because I think you'll be there for a week beforehand. So I'm hosting you. It is part of what it means to be Moroccan. So I don't remember 98, but I really look forward to 2026 because I think new memories and new, kind of new good times will be formed and we can look back and laugh at and have connections all over again. So couldn't ask for a better team to be grouped with. Brazil, I'm a little more scared for, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say that Morocco will be going into the game against Scotland as favourites. This is a Morocco side that reached the semi-finals in 2022. It's a Morocco side who, by default, in the end, got the African Cup of Nations champions. It was a bit of a controversial final, but we would need to go into that. However, had the had the guy not tried the Panenka with his penalty, they would have won it outright anyway. So, but how far can Morocco go this time? I mean, it is going to be so difficult, but they are a capable side, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got some off Brazil, let alone ourselves.
So Moroccan fans are always overconfident in terms of, so I for one am a little more measured in where I think they could go. They have a new coach, so they have a new system. They're trying to figure out who the right folks are for that system. Don't have an identity, right? They hit a little bit of a restart. We lost our longstanding coach who did bring us to the World Cup semis in Qatar. What makes Morocco, what made that run so magical is because we were able to set up in a way that was counterattacking, that was just had a very stifling defense. But now teams are sitting back, and so teams are now recognizing, to your point, how our prowess and our ability, but it's kind of forced us to change the way that we play, and as a result, we have to adjust. So we have to, in Africa, we're the possession dominant team. When we play against the big boys, Spain and Portugal, right, where we pulled off all those miracles, we were happy to sit back. We were happy to sit back against Belgium and counterattack, which I think is our forte, is our strength. But it'll be interesting to see how the new coach kind of integrates or comes up with our own play style ahead of the World Cup. Now, just as a reminder, we did fire our coach right before Qatar and see where that ended up for us. So who knows? Maybe history repeats itself. I'm hopeful, but I'm not too optimistic. I think there is. We did hit our golden generation. We did hit our peak. Everything really went right for us in Qatar. But I just want to temper our expectations given the circumstances, right? But getting out of the group with the 48 teams shouldn't be an issue, and I fully expect our brothers in Scotland to do the same.
Yeah, Adam, I was gonna say another question as well. Like, obviously, it's going to be a tough game, the second game for Scotland. Then we look at the likes of the Morocco squad as well. You know, likes of Mazraoui, we've got Hakimi, you've got, I think, En-Nesyri as well. I think he still gets caps for Morocco as well. So some dangerous players to watch out for, definitely, when we play each other. And I actually think as well, I think Morocco, it could be between them and Brazil to win the group. It would be interesting to see how this first game goes between the two sides as well, because I don't think Brazil are as strong as they've been. Yes, they're still a very capable, good side, but I think Morocco could go toe to toe them and toe to toe with them. Do you think you can? Do you think you can win this group?
So there are certainly Moroccans who think that they can win this group. I think Brazil is Brazil. I think the aura and the prestige of Brazil sometimes just wins out. Ancelotti is an incredible coach, and he knows how to manage big egos. And there's no country with bigger egos and a bigger group of individuals than Brazil. And so I think, and also for the record, I'm a massive Chelsea fan. So I think the world of Carlo and his ability to manage the squad. You have a serial winner coach in Ancelotti, so it's hard to see Brazil not being at the top, but I certainly think we have the tools to knock them off a little bit. Yes, we do have a lot of those stars that we had back in 2022. There's been some changes in terms of some faces. I'm really, really upset and sad to not have Hamza Yagaman. He's known in Scottish football from his time at Rangers, and I think he would have been a great asset. Unfortunately, he got injured. Tried to come back from injury too soon at the African Cup, and so some of the weaknesses that we have are the back four and who plays up top for us. Morocco has historically always had a very strong midfield, a very strong dribblers and players with flair. I'm not concerned there. But how do you out-flair Brazil, right? the team that's kind of invented flair and been the kings of flair for the last century in this sport, basically. So, but I do think there's some hope. I do think we expect to get out of the group. I think a lot of Moroccans demand at this point. We have a very passionate and demanding fan base, which is interesting to see and speak with Scotland fans, because Scotland fans are a little more down on themselves. We're too up on ourselves. I think Scotland's going to do incredible things. I'm really excited to see Scott McTominay in a match because it's so nice to root for him. Not know that he's no longer with Man U. I have a soft spot for Napoli, and to see him line up with Billy for Napoli is warms my heart very, very well. And I think you guys are going to be incredible and just do really well as well.
Yeah, it should be a good game as well. Like, obviously, Morocco's first game is Brazil, and Scotland play Haiti as the first game. So on paper,
you'll have the momentum, you'll have the confidence. I think. Look, don't underestimate Haiti, obviously, but you'll have the confidence heading in, having played what everyone will think is the easiest team in the group, and so we'll be playing the hardest team in the group. So it'll be a really interesting matchup between us, considering where we're coming from previously. So, and I think it actually will be the rubber match. I think it really will be the match that decides the group, and is going to be the most important match in the group, depending on how the first games go. But it is the new format, right? Now 3 teams can potentially get by, so but normally this would be the deciding match, considering how the first ones would go.
I think it's 8 of the 12 that get third place that can go through. I think it's 8 out of 12 that can go through, so it's there is a possibility.
I'll see you in the knockouts. Yeah.
Well,
it could be a possibility. I think looking at groups, you could end up, if you have a relatively okay goal difference, maybe 3 points can get you one of them third spots and get through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, Scotland have been in this position where we've been a third place side in the Italian 90, but we were one of the worst 2. So let's hope that we're not one of the worst 4 in that regard. Our cup finals, Haiti, to be perfectly honest, and then go into that, you're hopefully confident, and then I would say if we take some off Morocco, we're going to go through. But we'll just wait and see what happens. But Adam, listen, thanks for your time, and we've really enjoyed having you on this podcast. But finally, what message do you have for the Tartan Army travelling to Boston?
Please, me personally, I am very excited to welcome you with open arms. The city is even more excited, and honestly, lucky to have you here for as long as we do. The city, the region is excited to welcome you with open arms. Come ready to fall in love with Boston, because we're ready to fall in love with you. The city is gorgeous. It's walkable. It's safe. It's the safest city in the country in terms of size. We're the safest big city. Leave your cars at home, even though you couldn't bring them over the Atlantic. Leave them at the rental car center. Forget about that. Take the T everywhere. Look forward to Boston welcoming you. People are going to be curious and excited. Embrace Boston's diversity. Just like we're going to embrace you, and make it your own. I think not to out our friends Derek Rae, but Boston, Derek did that, and now he's stuck here, right? So he fell in love with the city, and I think that's the cautionary tale, if you want to take it as one, because you're going to fall in love with this place, and we're going to fall in love with you, and it's we can't wait to welcome you. The costs are the costs, but for the most part, they're all going to be worth it when you look back and the mutual experience that we will share. Fall in love with the Scots, and the Scots fall in love with Boston. So I'm more than excited to see where you go. Go to the North End, walk the Freedom Trail, learn about the history here. Go to the fan festivals at City Hall. Go to the fan festivals in your local town. So for your folks that are staying in different parts, there's going to be fan festivals there. Embrace how diverse we are. We have a huge Portuguese population, huge Haitian population. Go embrace them, because they'll embrace you and the way that you fans are. And it's going to be a great love story between your time here and us being able to host you here, and me personally as well. Please reach out to me, John. I actually do mean this from the bottom of my heart. Share my contact information, share my number, share my email. If folks have any questions, no question too big, no question too small. I'm happy to be a resource, because I'm happy to have you guys, and happy to have the joy that you will bring to Boston. So we're lucky to have you.
No, that's all fantastic, and if there's any local TV stations in Boston looking for Tartan Army to speak to, well, there's Daris for one, and there'll be plenty of others who I'm sure would be happy to help out. But no, that Adam, this information was fantastic, and thanks for coming on, explaining the MBTA's position, ticket pricing. We appreciate the transparency of this matter and your tips for what the Tartan Army can do. So good luck with the event when it comes, because you're going to be busy.
And I look forward to seeing you and coming over. And is it Slam Shagar? Please, good help. Looking forward to having you.
Fantastic. And Daris, thank you always for joining in. We hope that you've taken a lot from this.
Yep.
Fantastic. And next up in our World Cup specials, Dave Smith and I will be speaking to 55 times cap defender Maurice Malpass to share his stories of Mexico 86 and Italia 90. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Hope you can join us for the next one. But for now, happy football.